At the same time, I'm taking care of my mother and my grandmother, and I'm putting roofs on their homes, and I'm doing it at cost. And so I sit back at my grandmother's home and I'm staring at the house and the driveway, and I'm like, if I can do this for her, look at all these homes. Why can't I do that for them?
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is David Gilliland. I'm one of your co hosts here, and we have the privilege of having Mike Harvey with the Roof Resource. He's a founder there. Mike, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, David. Thank you for having me.
And I said a founder. Are you the founder?
I'm the founder, yes.
I apologize. It just hit me. I was like, I didn't even ask.
Oh,
The founder of the Roof Resource. Anyway, we're delighted to have you on. Thanks for calling in out of Michigan. Glad to have you here. And then, like your business, you are looking to disrupt. In fact, you are in the middle of disrupting a long-standing industry, which is just roof repair. I need to put a roof up, or I need to repair my roof, or I need to do a new roof. How do I get in touch with a great roofer that it's clear, my pricing, I know it's fair, all that sort of stuff. And today we kind of get raked over the coals. It's rather expensive, and we don't even know why. And there's all sorts of things built in that they put in their little bid sheet, but in the end, that bottom number is a pretty penny.
yeah. Yeah, it is. And, what customers go through today, the biggest thing that I've been able to pull out over these years, even when I started to do this when I was on the other side, I would say, is that homeowners don't know what they don't know. Right. And so it's really about, hey, when someone comes to their home, are they connecting with this person? Do they build trust, to then build influence? And then, of course, they feel like, hey, that's a good price, or they drop a few $1,000s off. And so that's the model that's been there. A roofing company trains up a really good guy, and he's a great salesman, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go do this. And then he starts his company, and it just continues to be the same thing, right? And now I call it, respectfully, the blockbuster of roofing. It's just everyone opens up their own video store, and everyone keeps doing the same thing. And so I had just said, yeah, this, if I'm going to start my own company, how would I do it, and
And
why?
And did you run a roofing company before? Were you ever in roofing before this?
Yeah, so the interesting story is, corporate America, I was transitioning out. I was opening up my own sales consulting company. And a friend of mine just said, hey, do you want to get into roofing? There's a ton of money involved. And I'm like, yeah, I'm afraid of heights. And I'm not really great with, the hammers and the tools. And my family always laugh at me because, that's just not my thing. And, but one of the pieces, David, I would always tell the other leaders that I would meet with is, it's where you get uncomfortable is where you grow. And everyone now, you can read that, you see it everywhere. And I said, I got to take my own advice. Let me, because I don't know it. But one of the things I did know with all of my sales management, sales history, is the consumer and the table in the home. Part of the training was over 15 years of direct sales. And
Mm.
so I knew the consumer. So I'm like, okay, let's go do this. Partnered up. And in 3 weeks, I said, let's try it. So in 3 weeks, we made $185,000 in 3 weeks. And I thought, this is just too easy. The process was very easy. Very, very, it's just, instead of selling XYZ, it's a roof, but all the pieces of it were the same. And so over the next 9 months, we made almost $1 million. And it was a customer, David, that, and I speak to this a lot, a customer, late 30s, two kids, they were both teachers, needed a roof. I come in, 14 grand. I take it down to 13.5. They're super happy. We do the roof. It cost me $6,200 to put that roof on.
Yep.
So I'm walking out the door and I stop midway and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, they just went to their 401k and pulled out 7,000 for me, sheer profit. And at the same time, I'm taking care of my mother and my grandmother, and I'm putting roofs on their homes, and I'm doing it at cost. And so I sit back at my grandmother's home and I'm staring at the house and the driveway. And I'm like, if I can do this for her, look at all these homes. Why can't I do that for them? And at that moment, that was the pivotal moment for me that I left the partnership and I modeled out what today is the roof resource.
Cool. I I love that. I mean, you're into roofing. You've never put up a shingle, and because that wasn't
Look,
the
so,
solution.
but I've never installed it. I haven't done the flashing of the steps or anything.
I love it.
Oh,
Um,
man, respect for the guys who do it though. It's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Well, in several of the roofing businesses, I mean, they may have a roofing business, but they're not their employees doing the roofing either. They're
Yep,
using
right,
other people, right?
right.
So
Yes, no doubt.
everyone's just selling someone else's work. And so thank you anyway. That was cool background, cool things what you're doing. You've grown quickly, and you're projecting to 5x in the year. I mean, like you're just going to keep going like gangbusters. What are some nuggets you could share with our listeners? Things that now that you've passed your $1 million mark and you've got a serious team and you're doing the work, what are things that are really helping you? You've already shared some nuggets. That hearing the voice of the customer, understanding where they're really at, and saying, "Why can't I?" and then going and finding a way. That's how we disrupt markets. But what else?
For me, it was when I started looking at this, it was, is this scalable? I wanted to know if this business model was going to be scalable. Yes, it was. Is it trainable? Can I make it uniform? Yes. Does it have impact not only in a small community? Is it somewhere that I can take everywhere? Yes. Um, and then it was people. It was really about the people that I have had experienced in working with for a very long time. And everyone on my team, almost everyone on my team, I have history with, that I've been able to tap on their strengths and who they are. A national home improvement expert for 3 decades, a CFO that I've had 15 years of experience with. The people really were the key, because without them, there's just no way that I couldn't have franchised this fast. With as soon as we received our official, hey, you're a national franchise, it was pretty daunting. It was great, but it was like, oh my God, now we can go anywhere in the country. We sold out the Detroit DMA in 90 days. It was just gone. And we had this, everyone was running and the speed was there. And it was the people that I had around me that could pick things up, and the marketing and the advertising and, the training and all these other components that are so key, because it's not just, you don't start thinking about the money, David. It's like, hey, don't chase that. The money's already there. You just have to follow the steps and continue the process. And then what I always tell the team, add wood, right? Add wood. And as we add wood, we keep things rolling. And, so for me, those nuggets again really are people, you know, um, were the key for me. And then of course, knowing what I was doing, does it have those components that can allow me to grow as fast as we're growing?
Yeah, and a lot of times I don't think we really think about that. We often think, what can I do that adds value? But we don't go through all of those steps. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Trainable. Could I train this? Can I see how I would train this? Right? Is this scalable? Right? And all of those things.
yeah, and those are important things. I mean, I was on a another interview, and they asked me. I said, "Well, as we get older, I'm not a young man anymore. I'm a little long in the tooth here, but as we get older, that's where I think our wisdom comes in, right?" And they asked me about seeking a coach. And I'm like, yes, I have a coach. If I'm younger, I would absolutely seek a coach for their wisdom, because they can guide you quicker and faster and show you the places that you weren't even thinking, all those hidden blind spots, right?
Yeah.
But as you get older, as we get older, you see all of these things now, because it's just you're drawing off the wisdom. And that's where, sometimes they're like, man, how did you know that? It's just years of
Yeah,
being
I've
in.
seen it. I've seen it 5 times already. This one's predictable.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I often find that, a good advisor, or, like on an advisory board, or a coach, if you're paying for a coach, or whatever, um, their their hindsight is your futuristic foresight, right? Like they're looking at things they've already been through, and it's what's coming. It's like having a prophet put things out in front of you and say, this is exactly what's going to go on, and it does,
Right.
because
You were
they've
so
done
right.
it so many times, right? So I love that. Great insight. And you can always find someone in some area of your business who's 2 and 3 steps well ahead of you that you
Right.
can pull into. So
And it's feeling comfortable, because I think too, it's also about, you know, being strong with your emotions and who you are as a person, and do not be afraid to ask.
yeah,
There's so many people out here that are so willing to share. I can tell you that my board of advisor, Colleen Abdullah, was the CEO of Wow Internet Cable and Phone for 14 years. She sits on many boards, and because we're so customer focused and centric on that experience of the customer, she was willing to be on our board. It's just one advisor, because it's like I've
yeah,
got her. I mean, why do I need anybody else really? But it's, being able to ask, and so I think that that's very important, to reach out to so many sources and really align yourself with a coach or a mentor that you can be checking in with, because you said it. I mean, it's their insight.
yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the next little bit. So I'm gonna pull this nugget out. You just said it offhand, and I think I may have mentioned a little bit too, but the advisory board. So few of us are strategic about putting together and fully tapping into a great advisory board.
Yeah.
Uh, and and why? Part of it, I think, we haven't thought through our business well enough to make it interesting enough for someone to actually serve on the board. Right? Like, a great person wants to be a part of something great. One, they also want to be surrounded by others who are great that they want to rub shoulders with. Too, right? Are we building an advisory board of people they want to work with and around? And then are we setting up a regular rhythm? Here's what we need from the advisory board. We expect this from you. Here's the time we're meeting. And we use the time not just to shoot the breeze, but to get stuff done. So they feel like, yeah, I show up. We're having meaningful progress. We're doing things. I just think there's things about the advisory board we really haven't tapped into like we could have. And you bringing that up is another nugget. Get the
Yeah.
right people. Get the
Yeah,
right
it
people on that board.
definitely is, and it's another source of, hey, we're not sure about certain direction, or hey, the corporate strategy, our go to market, we believe strongly in this, and you get that great objective insight of, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? This is what we did. This is how we did it. You're similar, however, X, Y, Z. It's like, yeah, I always get off these calls with her, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like liquid gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it's just, to my ears, it's like wonderful. And sometimes too, David, it's always like, why didn't I think of that? you know
Yeah. And,
so
and we don't have to. And that's the beauty about getting the right people, both in the team members that we're hiring and externally, that we tap into close advisors, maybe meeting officially, or maybe these phone calls to get the advice that we really need from people. Or maybe
yeah,
we're just paying for consultants and experts in the space. But yeah, there's just no reason to learn it the hard way. The wheel has been invented. We really are allowed to use it. Talk to the people who did
right,
it.
exactly, right.
So very cool. Thank you so much. Well, now you're at this phase, and I mean, you've already started franchising. You're starting to grow like crazy. Internally, you've only got 10 or so people, but you're taking off, and you even talked about maybe even 5x on the number of team members, let alone the revenues that you're playing with in a very short period of time. What sort of challenges are you foreseeing or worrying about right now that maybe we can give you a little bit of hindsight from stuff we've seen?
So with us right now, our model is a virtual model, and so we have everyone in the corporate team works from home. And so we've got people kind of spread out throughout the, Tri-County Michigan market. They all work from home. They love it, and that's wonderful. And then, of course, as the team grows, I mean, as we add to our what we call our network operation, our NOC, our network operation center, they can really be from anywhere. When we open up Ohio here in the next couple of months, we'll probably have a few people that are in Ohio. And how do you keep that culture of the company, that feel of what we do and why we do it, how we do it, and that connectivity, rather than just being, the phone call or a Zoom. And so that's something that's on our radar, of how we're going to, keep the teams engaged and have that connectivity, because this is all virtual. Our franchisees, who own the franchise, and their project manager or their operations person, all virtual. We don't even go out and meet homeowners. We truly never leave their office or their home.
It's like we don't do anything. We just no. You guys do a lot.
Yeah, we do. We do a lot, but it's just that the
You
team is.
figured out how to do something that's scalable, and that means you don't have to be there. So great. So we're looking at this, and I just let me just ask and push it. Is this just a nice to have question you're asking, or do you see this as critical to growth? Is it just
No,
because?
it's critical, and here's why. Because you know, I used to work at a company that culture was everything. It had nothing to do with money. You
Mm,
can make a lot of money, but you know what? When you don't feel that you're part of something bigger, and while someone can say, "Hey, I get to make X and I get to work at home and I'm set up and it's great," but then it's just like I'm doing this and it gets to be monotonous every single day, and then you know we know the value of keeping staff and keeping them connected in the culture, because as soon as there's a little spin out, they're gone and churn, and it's not something that we ever want to really deal with. And so that is on our board as we grow, is how are we going to keep people connected? And are we not going to bring on people in Ohio to do operations for us for the corporate office that's here in the Detroit market? So these are just questions that are starting to bubble up, and
yeah,
we haven't answered them yet, but they're starting to bubble up. So it's real.
I love that, and I appreciate the foresight you already have comes from the wisdom that you've built over time. You've seen the difference. People will do 2 and 3x times the delivery just because they believe in what you're doing and they feel like their direct managers and team members care about them. It's just we just see it over and over again. They just do. If they find meaning at work, then they don't have to do clock in, clock out, so I can go home and do something meaningful. They can be meaningful in all these places, right? They come in, they engage, they're fully involved. They go home, they've got energy, they're fully involved, and they love it, right? They're
Yeah.
finding it.
Yeah, I was again. I was part of that and creating a culture where you had some of the lowest churn in direct sales. How is that possible? 82% of your staff is over quota. How is that possible? And it wasn't me. It was this company and everything else that we had, and it was that culture. And hey, some of these top guys could go work somewhere else and make 30% more money, but they wouldn't leave. They
Yeah.
wouldn't.
And
So
just think of that 30% more. So for you in your business, that is a 30% margin on their work that can go for investment in what you're doing.
yep.
Um, Not having the churn, each employee that churns out, every time you've got to replace a bad hire on the minimum, if you get rid of them in the first couple of months, a bad hire is still costing you 20, 30, 40, $50,000.
Well, right, because you're going to go through that hire, or if someone's potential, you've got vulnerability is also comes along with virtual,
It
right?
does. Yep.
Because they're good and they can show and display that I can work on my own, and I'm disciplined. So are they vulnerable now to more pay? Are they vulnerable to other opportunities?
Absolutely.
That's where culture brings them back and says, I love what we do. I love our mission. I love this.
Yeah.
And they're connected in that way. And that's important, very
Okay.
important.
So let's play with this. So we're in the virtual space, but let's see what we've got in the sandbox to use already. You're already kind of breathing it and drinking the Kool-Aid in so many ways about culture and its importance. What do you have set up? Because you're kind of young of a company. So what is your you mentioned a mission. Tell me what your mission is as you define it.
Well, in our mission has changed a couple of times, and we haven't put in our office here. We haven't put it on the wall because we've changed it. We had just said that in the next 5 years we want to be the largest home improvement company in the country.
Okay.
I mean, that's it. I mean, it is something that is we call a mondo goal. I mean, it's
Yes.
huge, but we see that and we share that with everyone because it's just not roofs, David.
Yeah.
We're a data company. There's so much more involved than
You're
what
going to
we
be able to expand all over the place because
we're
this.
able to do everything, right? So it's truly in that 5 years, that's where we're going. And we start with the roof. Um, and we share that vision with anyone that we're talking with obviously our staff. And we've got really great people right now, and they believe in what we believe in. I mean, they're connected and they're passionate. And when we talk with them, they love when we serve our customer, and our customer not only gets a brand new roof, but as you know, they save thousands. The simplicity, the ease, the lack of confusion, and
Yeah.
so that's when I know, like yes, they're in it.
Yeah.
They've got
Let's 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 tease those parts about just a little bit more for the fun of it.
sure,
So you've got a mission, which a BHAG, the Mongo goal, this kind of thing, which is great, and your whole team gets behind it, loves it. But you shared a story in the beginning, and the story had to do with a young couple who need to pull money out of their 401k to hand a bunch of extra cash over to you, even though you knew there was another way to do it, right? You kind of
yep.
felt something in there. Within that story, there's some kind of purpose that is saying there's a better way, or is the purpose. So I'm looking for meaning behind the work, not just coolness. Coolness is the mission. I think you nailed it. Right? This is crazy cool. We're going to be the biggest, baddest thing this country has seen, and it's only going to take 5 years to do it. That's big. Now, the purpose behind it that gives this tugging at the heart. What is that for your whole team? Do you think? Because I was hearing some from you.
Well, we want to do the right thing. And
Okay.
when you say we're going to do the right thing, and when one of my franchisees, Dan, actually took care of his parents' home, and I'm like, how'd that go, Dan? And it clicked at that point. Even though he's a franchisee and he provides the service to strangers, he couldn't do anything different for his mom and dad because we do it at cost, right? And
Yes.
so it was like, oh my God, that feeling. And that's where it's like we're doing the right thing. At the end, it's like, hey, guess what? When we have a meeting, Dave, we have a meeting in our conference room when we have a chair, and that chair sits empty, and that chair is a customer. That's the
Yeah.
homeowner. And the decisions that we make and what we do and how we do it and why we do it, it's for that homeowner. Just as if it was your mom or your dad or we're brothers, and you're like, hey, Mike, I need a roof. Hey, you get my cost. That's the right thing to do. And I've just been able to express it this way through the roof resource. So that's that piece. It's
Yeah.
do the right thing.
Yeah. You've got some values that are driving everything you do. You have some stories and some overall purpose. It's not just this be the biggest company. It's not just do the right thing. Like you've got a purpose to just like really reinvent and to care for people. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a peace of mind. Maybe it's a savings, creating a future for people. There's something, and it's in there, and you're saying it. But to get those words where your whole team says it, like so for my team, we realize potential. We help people realize potential. My team, others don't care about that, but my team cares so deeply about it, helping people recognize their potential and then make it a reality. We realize potential and we believe the potential is limitless. It's however
Yeah.
far they want to go, however much we can help them realize they can get to, right? Keep opening that. And so my team gets excited about that. But my mission isn't that, right? My mission's a measurable thing
Yeah.
down here. And I
Right.
know exactly how I'm going to measure it and what the date is and all of that. But the mission is clearly aligned with the purpose. So when we get those clear, and then this values thing, doing the right thing is one of your values. Doing the
Mhm.
right thing is a value. There's the way we go about achieving this big purpose is we're going to do the right thing every time. You have a high customer centric, or the customer is part of every meeting, every discussion. There's a
Right.
chair for them. There's a value in there for you, right? You've got a few other things that are important, and you've got stories. When you talk about the roof changes, you keep going back to the same thing. This is your mother, this is your brother, right? These are the people you most love and care about. That's who we're serving all times. Like, you just got a feeling that doesn't exist in a majority of businesses out there. And this is the culture you're building. Now,
Right.
I want those defined out so clearly. We do the right thing. It looks like X, Y, and Z. And
Mhm.
here's the examples. I want it clearly. The customer has a chair in every meeting. And maybe it's not the customer slash your grandmother or slash
Yeah.
your most beloved person on this earth has a seat in every one of our meetings. And that's exactly who our product serves. And they're like, oh, every meeting. Okay, right. And there's some things, and you have these examples. We want this really crystal clear, not just on the wall, but in their heart, really deeply written, memorized, yes. Talked about regularly, yes. They're sharing examples at every single meeting, yes. The reason is we're building rituals, and we're building um, basically tenets or doctrines, which every culture that has ever existed has had rituals, it's had symbols, it's had tenets or doctrines that help it to last over time,
Mhm.
right? That's why we identify with a tribe. There's certain markings, you get a certain kind of
Sure.
tattoo, right? Like,
Yeah. Right.
think through
Yeah.
those things. These things become more important as you're virtual, not less. They become more important. And so, to get them crystal clear and to ensure that every meeting, that's how we begin. Every meeting, these are the things we're talking about. When we're solving a problem, we say, okay, how would grandma have wished we'd have done this? Or when we're solving a problem, it's uh, okay, I recognize that the vendor's doing these things and that's pretty crooked, but how do we do the right thing anyway?
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
what you're really calling it's like the things that we do
Yes.
daily. We're not recognizing that, but you just called that out because we're always taking a look at, hey, the home, and we know that once we do that attic inspection, we know what's the right thing to do, and we always will. Of
Right.
course, we're going to do the right thing.
And it's because it's why you picked the 10 you picked, the 9 you picked. You knew this was in them. You guys have a way you operate. You know each other and you read and you breathe it. When that's super clear, we make sure the next 40 that not a one of them comes through that door, that we don't see evidence and passion behind those same values, that we don't see their eyes light up around the same mission, that we don't see them just being professional or just being self-serving around how they could get more, that they're just like, wow, they start losing themselves in the discussion because they say, I get to bring my whole self. This is exciting. You're going to challenge me to be better than I've ever been. I want in.
Yeah.
So those are the next 40 hires. We can't hire a single one of them that we think, well, we just kind of need, it's busy. We just need a capable person in the seat. Don't
Oh,
do it. You can't pull it off, especially virtually.
right. Right.
It falls apart really fast. So I would say that's the first thing. Get super clear about that vision. And then we don't let anyone in who doesn't pass at the same level you let these other people in. You knew them for 10, 15 years. You've got to find some way to ascertain this quicker, or to be able to try before you buy with some of these people, another model of bringing them in and seeing, do they really live it? Because until they do, virtual, all it does is hide problems and enhance poor results, the
Right.
consequences. Hides problems, enhances consequences. So we That's what. So that's a first step. Second one, call it out. Right? We talked about it. Every meeting, every point, we're calling it out. We're celebrating them when they're doing it. We're telling other people about them. We have some shared space to celebrate. Wow, look at this testimonial we just got. We just did it again. We did the right thing. Look at this testimonial. We just saved another young couple. We just saved another young couple. Their future retirement didn't go into their roof, it went into their posterity, right? Like we just did it again.
You know, David, you're bringing up so many great things, and I'm sitting back and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so much of this that happens daily,
Yeah.
and we're in it, we're going, we're blazing, and everyone's sometimes is running too fast, and these points that you're pointing out are great because it's being able to call out those things of why we exist and what we do, and those, we get these Google reviews come in every day, and these customers don't just say, hey, use the roof resource, it was great. They write a novel
Yeah.
of their experience and how and what, and oh my goodness, and we're so grateful that they took the time to
Yeah.
do that, but they're sharing like a book.
Yeah, and why not just copy it and put it on the screensaver that every one of your team members has that pops up, and all of a sudden their screensaver is nothing but the quotes of all the people's lives that are being changed. It's just like the physical space; you could put it all over your walls. Well, can we do it somewhere else too? Can we keep that alive? Can we keep that going? So that's a place.
Great idea.
The next place that I would do is in virtual, we have to get tighter around the results they need to deliver. So, first, they have to live according to and love the vision. Second, they have to deliver results that lead towards the mission. They have to see a clear alignment, that they know exactly why what they do matters. And everyone has visibility into that. There's no hiding. Total transparency, like you do with your customers, needs to be with every team member what their we call them their big threes, operational metrics that they should be hitting. Everybody needs to be able to see what they should be and where they're at.
Hmm.
For two reasons: it keeps us honest, but it also helps us be a team. Now I
Sure.
can see what you're struggling with. That, let me help. So from Ohio, I'm calling Detroit, who, though they think they're cool and they're corporate, they're kind of missing something. Let me share some things I've learned. Let me help. In fact, I could do my job in a way that makes their job easier. So now we all hit our number. They can't without the visibility. So make the visibility blatantly apparent, even if it's like an org chart where some are green, some are yellow, some are red, meaning I'm on or off on my metrics and anyone can just see the Christmas tree. And we want
Well,
it
we
to be green.
actually, and you will like this. We actually did this on our operations side because we went ahead and we wireframed our own CRM. We weren't going to go
Right.
out to the market and buy it off the shelf and be controlled by their destiny. We wireframed it, and to that point, we have a team they can access every single customer, and it's all in red, yellow, green, and it's in steps. And in the event that someone's needing help and support with a step, we all have visibility to it, so we can all lean in and help out. So it's really cool that you're talking about that, and because
Yeah.
we said we're virtual, let's let that staff look at this and
You've
take
got
a
to have it.
moment together.
I think that's fantastic. What a great way to do it. And that's just got you leaps and bounds ahead in winning in this virtual workspace that you're playing with. But those who don't have a virtual workspace, same thing applies. The reality is we're just kind of covering up for the fact that we can walk around and see and talk to people. But as the team gets to 50, I don't care if you're all in the same office, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you are missing it. You could
Right.
only do that at 10. It's impossible as it gets larger. The same stuff's needed. Virtual team just needs it a little earlier. That's all.
Yeah, we need to set that foundation now so that when we get
Yeah.
to the 30, 40, 50, it's there. So these are some great suggestions you have. Thank you. Really
Mike,
good.
I'm glad you got some value out of it. We got great value from having you on the show today. So thank you so much. How would people get in touch with you if they wanted to finally get that roof done right, or if they want to be part of this journey, maybe get their own franchise?
Yeah, I mean, they can just go to theroofresource.com, and you can reach out if they're interested in franchising, or if they're interested in, hey, can you help us out with our roof in Georgia, Florida, or whatever state they're in. We can always help, even if we're not there. we go to that point where we'll still do a report for you. We'll still show you what cost would be on that roof, and then maybe that can help them out with that negotiation with that local vendor in the event that we're not there. And then of course I'm out on LinkedIn, so if someone wants to connect with me there and have a conversation, I'm connecting with a lot, so that would be great too.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps up this session, this episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven figure journey. If you gained value from it as a listener, please like, share, do what you need to get it out to those social channels and other business owners who would benefit. Thank you for the great work you do as entrepreneurs. Keep striving, keep growing, keep learning, and keep caring. Until next time.